No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. We're actually on time. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the Wednesday Wrestling Popcast, exclusively here on the Popcast Network. My name is Owen. Joining me, as always, is Ashley.
Indeed.
Lots of stuff to discuss tonight. If you are new to the Wednesday Wrestling Podcast, number one, welcome. Number two, this is our hodgepodge edition, basically talking about anything and everything in the wrestling world at large, including everything going on in WWE, the Smackdown Live and 205 Live go home editions leading to Survivor Series, as well as the TakeOver War Games edition of NXT, all the way up to what's going on in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, the Indies, either stateside and abroad, as well as Impact, UFC, MMA, and so many more things, all tonight here on the Wednesday Wrestling Podcast. So, Ashley, what happened on SmackDown last night?
What didn't? So it started off with Shane basically backstage, pep talking the roster. And Becky's like, I'm going to break Asuka's arm. Bullshit! And then Daniel Bryan actually went out to the ring and said, it's time to fight, I bleed blue. And, Raw's clearly afraid, which is why Triple H has been added in. And then instead introduces the champion of the universe, AJ Styles. And bloody Styles was sort of about to talk, and Brian said, considering Brock's got an advocate, do you want an advocate for the time being? And Styles said, sure. And so Brian basically did a bloody Heyman impression, sort of. And, he agreed, first time ever the match is happening. First time it's AJ and Brock. People want to see it. Now it's the Rocky story, all that sort of stuff. But Lesnar won't be brutalizing AJ. Lesnar may be big and strong, but he's also thick-headed and a quitter. He quit WWE and he quit to a half-assed knee bar in the UFC. And when he's pushed into deep waters, that's all Brock does. He quits. So Styles is just going to push him to the point where he mentally has to quit. Now, the only reason to tune in on Sunday is to see a 6'3" to 85 monster mentally quit to AJ. And then Styles says, well, unlike Lesnar, I'm not a puppet. Sure, I'm the underdog, but this isn't a Rocky movie. This is an AJ Styles production. And I'll prove it. This is the house that AJ Styles built. One point. Does anybody remember the ending to Rocky? The first film. Rocky loses.
Yep.
But morally is the winner. The Rocky story would be Rocky 2. Not Rocky 1. Flub? Maybe?
I blame the writers.
And then Jinder confronted AJ backstage and said, the beating you get from Brock will be nothing when I get my title back. And I'm like, fuck off. Even the company didn't have confidence in you. That's why you're having to beat the fuck out of Triple H rather than Kevin Owens. Because they're trying to actually make you look sort of strong there. Then again, I'm fearing that Indian crowd will not give a fuck about Jinder and they'll just cheer for Triple H. So it'll even more backfire. Corbin retained the US title in a okay-ish match. Corbin was average. Please let Miz beat him. Otherwise, there is no justice. And then Shane and Daniel backstage, and Brian was like, or Shane told Brian, well, you know, SmackDown's always got your back, and Shane's all talking about cohesion, and Daniel was like, I wanted to talk to you about Survivor Series about that. You know, I'm still not happy that nobody told me about the raid, and you know, the fact that I went to Reason with Raw and it got me chokeslammed. And Shane's about to talk, and Daniel's just like, I'll see you Sunday, Shane, and he leaves. And then Charlotte Natalia. It sort of went as I predicted. Charlotte getting the win with the figure eight. The match being dedicated, at least according to the Tom on commentary, to Rick. And Renee interviewed Charlotte. And at first, she's like needing to catch a breath because Natalia beat the heck out of her. She did that. I swear Charlotte did that for Owen. Or maybe because of the fact that they're on network television. And she wanted to win the title ever since the Superstar Shakeup, and it means a lot to do it in her hometown. Of course, then the "You Deserve It" chants happen, which is awkward. And, you know, she'll beat a Bliss and show her why Raw had a queen before they had a goddess. And then spoke about Rick and said, you know, he couldn't be there tonight, but he's watching at home. Was about to text her that she was the GOAT. That's Daniel Bryan, isn't it? You know, the wins for him, hugged Renee, and they were going crazy. And Charlotte's about to leave, and holy fuck, what a big surprise. Rick's actually there. And they hugged and posed together on the stage, and right. They did it right. They did it wrong because then the Bludgeon Brothers show up. I don't hear anything except for the scream. I can't feel anything except for the cracking of bones. Every hammer needs a nail to give it purpose. And our purpose is, who gives a fuck? Bludgeon Brothers. Seriously, it's like, can't they just be their own fucking wrestlers?
Is it just me, Ashley, or they're coming off like the Highlanders version 2.0?
To some extent, yeah.
They just have Gallagher mallets now, apparently.
To some extent. Oof. So then we had Jimmy Uso versus Chad Gable. And after distraction sort of outside, Jimmy got a super kick in on Gable and got the win. And then they were talking about the Survivor Series card, and then it got to the women's 5-on-5 match. Charlotte is obviously not in that match anymore. The key thing to note, neither is Natalia. There is a mystery fifth spot. And considering the report saying that Paige was going to be on SmackDown before the whole she's at Raw stuff that happened this past week, makes me wonder whether that's where she's coming in.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, they can always pull the wool over her eyes and go with Nikki again.
She's switching brands.
Well, Cena's on SmackDown right now because of this. So, I mean, even though he could go anywhere, maybe she can too.
So then it's Kevin and Sammy backstage, and, you know, they're unhappy that they're not on the Survivor Series card. And, you know, it don't matter what brand's the A or B show, because the only show that matters is the Sammy and Kevin show.
That's right.
And then Owen said, no, it's the Kevin and Sammy show. So it's already started. Oh, sorry. No. It's actually the other way around. Kevin said it was the Sammy and Kevin show, and Zayn said it the other way around. That's weird. So then here comes the New Day. And of course, they cut a promo on the Hounds versus the Unicorns. And it's like, why would you call yourself the Hounds? Because dogs eat their own poop. Whereas unicorns are mythical and bring magic to the earth. Yeah, I saw the My Little Pony movie. Apparently, they also bring Liev Schreiber to the end of his career. Shoot. So this went for a couple of minutes. And then, burner! Shield come out. Half Raw, half Shield t-shirts. So I remember somebody on Twitter saying, fucking hell, Seth's good at sewing. And Shield surround the ring. And then the music cuts off, and Kevin and Sammy just go, fuck out of Dodge. And then the Usos get into it. Then Cesaro and Sheamus show up. Then we go to backstage, and the Raw women's team is destroying the shit out of the SmackDown women's locker room. Then Balor's there, Joe's there, Titus and Apollo, and then Shane's coming out, followed by the SmackDown crew, and then Kurt Angle shows up on the stage, and here comes Braun, who destroys Zack Ryder and Mojo, and then destroys Nakamura, and then taken and destroyed by Strowman, and Shane gets destroyed by Strowman as well. And then the Shield hold up Shane, a la Under Siege 1, and force him to watch as all the Raw guys take out the SmackDown guys. And Angle got in Shane's face and says, this is nothing compared to Sunday. And Shane got a triple powerbomb, and then an angle slam from Kurt himself, and then a second triple powerbomb. And SmackDown ends with the Raw music. I'm fucking confused. What show is this? Probably.
Interesting. Well, it seems pretty obvious who's going to win Sunday.
Probably.
At least that's how I see things. So speaking of WWE programming,
Well, the key thing to note, tonight there was actually no fucking signing of two guys. There was no Cena and there was no Orton.
Yep.
They're saving the fuck out of them. Speaking of saving the fuck, this cannot be saved. 205 Live. So there was some weird shit with bloody, Enzo and Gulak bloody trying to eat the cake and whatever before the cake was ready for later or something. So then we had Kendrick and Gallagher versus Alexander and Swan, because we're still doing this. It was a tornado tag match, so it was pretty much freed up in that sense. But it's Kendrick that actually gets the jobber status, getting hit with the neutralizer kick and the lumbar check from both guys, and the faces win. Then we had Ali versus Daivari, and Davari's praising Amore, saying there's no value in Kalisto being champion. There might be a shred more credibility, son. And Enzo being champion draws more cash and fame. And then Ali failed at comedy, saying Daivari's head is up Enzo's bum. And then, of course, Ali said, I want to make 205 Live better. So by doing that line alone, the crowd turned on him because the crowd don't want to see this shit anymore. That says a lot. I want to make the show better. Boo! We don't want this fucking show anymore. Ali won with his inverted 450, but I think the crowd in Charlotte and, you know, a wrestling town did not want to watch this wrestling. What does that tell you? The great thing is Enzo was being cheered and got over. And Enzo basically goes, you know, they're chanting his name and he's just like, I know who I am. You know, I spent a lot of money and a great gift is here. And it's going to be a beating from Drew Gulak. And Drew Gulak does, of course, the classic bloody Enzo and Cass line, how are you doing? They're doing this again. They're having Gulak speaking proper English. And then Enzo went, never do that again. So it's like, okay, they're actually doing some stuff. And Enzo says it'll be the cake will be good until Thanksgiving if you freeze it. Because that's what will happen at Survivor Series. Whatever the shit that was. Kalisto won. The great thing is the crowd were that fucking bored. They randomly just sang happy birthday to Kalisto during the match. And then afterwards, Enzo beat the shit out of Kalisto. And Kalisto sort of fought back. And Enzo was going to get thrown into the cake, but Gulak made the save. And the crowd is like, we want cake, we want cake. So then they're talking about the whole fact of they're building up Survivor Series. And then they cut to backstage. Enzo's upset and Kalisto rams his face into the backstage cake. So yeah, the bit that the crowd wanted to see, they saved for a backstage segment which never happened.
Wow.
That's sensible.
So that's 205 Live. Last piece of WWE news for the night is NXT.
Not too bad a go-home show, I'd say.
No, not terrible. I understand because I've been in the Full Sail crowd and I've been in the Full Sail crowd recently. But what's the deal? What is the fascination with Street Profits?
There is. There just is. I don't know.
They got great charisma. I'll give them that. I'm just this was a decent tag match with Tino and Riddick. I mean, Sabatelli could go one of two ways. He's either going to be, and no disrespect to either one, it's either going to be Jesse Goddard's or he's going to be EC3. He has the personality to do both, but I don't know if they would get behind him to do one or the other. At this point, he's leading towards the Jesse Goddard's role, but Tino, if he improves, and he's getting better. Every time I see him in the ring, I see him getting better. Wow, it remains to be seen. A literal punch ends the match.
Mm-hmm.
Then we get a nice video package for Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black. one of the most awkward things I've ever seen in person was the start of this program. I love the daylights out of this. Black is still undefeated, correct?
Yes. They're still
So
keeping on that record and everything.
I almost think this doesn't need to have a finish unless they're that heavy on Patrick Clark to have Velveteen Dream go over. I mean, I could honestly, this could be a transition from one feud to another, potentially. Like someone helps Velveteen Dream win or someone helps get the match thrown out, and that's Black's next feud. I mean, there's a lot of different directions you can go with this. I'm very curious to see. The way they built this feud up has actually been really good.
Yeah, it's been done right, for sure.
Speaking of done right, the beast that is Laura Sullivan taking on Sacrificial Lamb Raul Mendoza. It's just a quick squash match. Lars with the Vader cross faces. I mean, he's got some weird looks to him. Like, honestly, like I can throw a lot of things out there. Like, and he looks like it's like Connor from the Ascension. He's got Sid in there as well. I can see that. He's got a lot of like a young Vader type going for him. And I don't just mean the cross faces. He wins with the deadlift Uranagi. I believe he calls it the freak accident. It's basically building towards the match he's got with Chris Hero on Saturday. And I have a feeling it's going to be it's not going to be a wrestling match. It's just going to be a fight. And, I mean, Ono can win. But I honestly think that this feud is probably far from over. So you have to have Sullivan win to continue his dominance. But we're going to see a lot tighter work from Ono than we've seen in the past. In WWE rings, of course, and NXT. Like you're gonna get more close to a strong style Chris Hero in this match.
A more indie style.
Yeah, it's gonna be really snug. It's gonna look really good. It's gonna be, I believe the terminology that I want to use is they're gonna hit really hard in really safe places.
Or, you know, if Triple H don't care, they beat the fuck out of each other.
Oh, it's going to be a hoss fight, to say the least. And, I mean, I think Sullivan ends up on top. I could see this getting hard-way blood accidentally, potentially. I could see, like, maybe a busted nose. Like, let's say Hero uses the point of the elbow to break Sullivan's nose accidentally. And then he basically works the rest of the match with a bloody nose. And, like, the visual, of course, would be the black and white visage of Lars Sullivan, like, bleeding. But, of course, you can't tell because it's black and white. And he's standing atop a fallen Cassius Ohno. And I think that's a great visual to end on. So William Regal sets up a open challenge thrown out by UK champion Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano accepts. So we get this match. But we have to wait till next week on NXT. Because, Ashley, what's your wording? There's only one thing you would say in this situation, and it's one word.
Fuck the Revival?
FTRR? Reasons, of course.
That's it. FTR, fuck the reasons.
I'm down with that.
I got a new catchphrase. Wow, I only just worked that one out.
So real quick, Christian M, welcome to chat, says Kenny Omega welcome to WWE. Revenge of Jericho at WrestleMania. No. Not anytime soon. They have been proving time in and time out you can make a lot more money on the indies and in Japan than you were able to in the past. Just ask Matt and Nick Jackson how much money you can make on the indies.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, 5 new T-shirts coming to Hot Topic just in time for Black Friday.
And why am I not aware of this?
Because you didn't look at Cody's Twitter account 2 hours ago.
I've been busy. And we're going there right now, so let's go to Cody's Twitter account. Right here on the podcast.
All that stuff is happening. Meanwhile,
ooh, very nice. Brand new Buck shirt, brand new Omega shirt, brand new Marty Scurll shirt, the Season Assist shirt, and the Cody 2020 shirt. On top of the new American Nightmare shirt, the Ring of Honor was selling on top of the American-made Bullet Club shirt, which is all currently available and soon to be available at Hot Topic, which means, yep, going to be spending some money for a while.
But is the topic actually hot?
Yes. Retweet. And so yeah, we move on to our next match, and it is the main event of the evening.
At the time of recording, the Shimmer World Champion, we'll get to that, Mercedes Martinez, versus the woman that would have been NXT champion had they not actually just wanted to bury her because Asuka reasons.
Match was great. I really enjoyed it. Three Amigos transition into a good old-fashioned Davey Boy Smith delayed vertical suplex. Thought that was really well done. And Ember finally got some shine in the match with a tope suicida, but she got caught. Martinez hits a running Tower of London. Great to have Nigel on commentary to actually call his own move. So Mercedes goes for the Fisherman's Buster and, of course, countered inside cradle. And she gets caught up in the ropes, going for a running knee strike, and she gets a single stomp. Round kick, and Ember goes up top, hits the Eclipse, and gets the win. Really solid back-and-forth TV match. They kind of missed the boat by not signing Mercedes. I kind of probably understand why. Nikki Cross comes out to brand new music, and here comes Peyton. Here comes Kairi Sane, and we've got a 4-way stare down for the match on Saturday. And
it's not technically brand new, is it?
No. And then the Nobody Cares file. Next week, Sonya Deville's in action against Ruby Riott.
No respect, we care about Ruby Riott.
Well, yes, we definitely care about Ruby Riott, but I do not give one iota about Sonya Deville, and I haven't ever, and I won't. So we get a face-to-face segment to end the show to, of course, hype up the main event with Andrade Cien Almas and Drew McIntyre, of course. And this brings out Zelina Vega, and this actually brings out Almas once in a while, finally, once and for all, trying to get one over on the champion. Of course, that does not work out very well momentarily until Zelina dives in, and Drew's about to hit her with a fall-away slam, and Almas with a Pillman clip. hits the hammerlock DDT, and raises the championship in the air, thus proving once more your next NXT World Champion is Adam Cole.
Would it be awkward if that happens so it screws up the whole NXT card?
Wouldn't be shocking. I mean, so that's what's going on in NXT. So, it was a decent go-home show. Sounds like SmackDown SmackDown delivered. 205 Live might as well be canceled at this point. I'd rather just rent out the Center Stage Theater in Atlanta and just do Southpaw Regional Wrestling tapings.
Yep.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
So now we're moving on to the wonderful world of mixed martial arts. So, Ashley, what's going on in MMA right now? Or what's not going on in MMA right now?
No, it's more a case of what is going on. Because, so before I even get to like the daily bits of news that have trickled in through Dave's daily update and whatever, the bigger stories. So we're finally going to be having a Bellator heavyweight champion. Because back in 2014, there was a guy by the name of Vitaly Minakov who beat Sheik Congo on that day to whether it was to win or to retain the belt. He never defended that belt and got stripped of the belt back in May of 2016. So, you know, not even like this year or anything. They finally announced before their show on Friday, which was enough of a bit of fun, that they're going to be doing an 8-man heavyweight tournament Grand Prix starting in January and culminating in December. So, yes, the entire tournament is going to be over the course of a year. So we're not going to have a heavyweight champion until next Christmas.
Oh, wow.
However, this list is fucking lit. Owen will know some of these names. He will not know all of them. The names in this tournament are Fedor Emelianenko,
Interesting.
Frank Mir, Roy Nelson, Matt Mitrione, the light heavyweight champ Brian Bader, who I guess is moving up a few pounds, Rampage Jackson, King Mo, and, even though he's never fought at heavyweight before, Chael Sonnen.
So what you're telling me is the roster of the UFC video games are now in Bellator.
Well, some of them have been for a number of years. You know, Rampage has been in and out for God knows how many times.
Right.
But the interesting thing is they're saying there isn't any note of alternates if one of them somehow manages to get injured, either, you know, in the warm up to the matches or not. I only mention this because, of course, the news came earlier this week. I can actually find it. If it was it actually in its own separate thing? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, the former Jack Swagger, Jake Hager, sorry, is debuting in the heavyweight division in Bellator in 2018. So to me, if they think he's at the right level, he could fill in that tournament, because I don't know how many top quality heavyweights are left that could fill in. So yeah, it looks as if Bellator is trying to go really crazy for getting everybody to watch all of a sudden. Because, I mean, perhaps not King Mo because he's never been in UFC. And I don't know whether Bader has. But literally the other 6 names, again, I can't remember whether Nelson's been there before, but that's a sort of Hall of Fame list for MMA. It's that big.
Wow.
Of course, this is extra complicated by the fact that bloody Anderson Silva's tested positive again for drugs. Which means the main event in Shanghai, China next week against Kevin Gastelum is obviously off. There's no note as to what the actual substance that is until we won't hear it basically until the hearing process and the final discipline is decided and whatever. The great thing is apparently from the last one, with some steroids and some anxiety medicines, apparently the anxiety medicines were due to problem sleeping, and the steroids were part of a pill that he got them from Thailand to improve sexual performance. The Brazilian man is plowing that bitch, apparently. So there was a lot of question about, okay, what's going to happen at such short notice? Here's this big swerve. Despite the nature of the knockout and everything from last week, which I'll get to when I'll cover the results because I want to go into proper full details on it. Michael Bisping, who fought November the 4th, is going to China to fight Gastelum in the main event on the 25th. So yeah, three weeks, and he's in 2 main events. Man, this guy, I was going to say he doesn't care about his career, but he's announced that he's having his retirement at the London show in March. So I guess it's like, let's make as much money as possible, as long as the medics clear me, sort of deal. So that's what's gone down there. So in terms of the other stuff, also Dominic Cruz suffered a broken arm, so he's out of the fight with Jimmy Rivera on UFC 219, which I think is the show at the start of December. GSP sort of not committing what he's doing in terms of his stuff after his win, which again I'll get a detail with. Oh, there's the news about Rampage re-signing back with Bellator, because I guess he went out of contract and just did nothing. I guess that was the deal. Frankie Edgar got injured as well. I wasn't covering the MMA stuff for the past few weeks. With, I believe, Jose Aldo now filling in that spot against Max Holloway for the featherweight title. So I guess we're having another guy that thinks he can be in 2 different weight divisions. Then again, with Aldo, because he was trying to go after McGregor, I guess that's 3, maybe. I don't know. I guess it's the other thing that happened, because I don't think I've got the actual results from it actually happening. So there was a Bellator event that went down. Boy, did it go down. I don't think it was even in the main event. Conor McGregor was there, and I guess he thought the fight had finished when it got to the end of the round because of, I don't know, the way the ref dealt with it. Conor climbed over the top of the cage into the cage and got into a fight with the guy that his guy was up against and the referee, as well as apparently a Bellator staffer, according to one of the boxing commissions and combat sport guys that was actually at the show. The great thing is they don't want to do a shit about it. Bellator, they're just going to let them do what they do. So in other words, apparently they're being pussies because they don't want to do anything. I guess because the guy isn't one of their guys, if you want to call it that. I don't know. To me, it's stupid. If something happens at your event, you should be the one that's, reliable, reliable or whatever. The great thing is the ABC president, that's the boxing commission, says that Conor's been removed from the UFC 219 card because of the incident. The great thing is we never even knew he was on that card anyway. So who knows what that's about? And then just seeing if there's anything in today, which I haven't even looked at. Apparently, Nate Diaz versus Tyron Woodley is now being considered for the end of year UFC 219. Be pretty ridiculous. And there's more criticism about Conor's actions at the Bellator show, which makes sense. If a fan behind the Shield can get beaten the shit out of, it's not fair that Conor doesn't receive any sort of repercussions for what he did. Let's say. So, while we've been away, the big stuff in terms of Bellator and UFC, and the only thing in Bellator that's worth noting, other than the Conor stuff, is Jigard Mousasi was victorious in his Bellator debut via a 29-28 across all three judges' unanimous decision against Alexander Shmenko. That same weekend, the UFC show in Poland, the Liverpudlian Darren Till beat Donald Cerrone, unsurprisingly, perhaps not unsurprisingly, but unknowingly at 4:20 of the first round, which Darren's doing all this stuff saying, I was always on the map. But this is the one where the actual people sort of that want good matches paid attention. And I think this is like Cowboys' third or fourth loss in a row. So it's not going great for him. But yeah, Till might be in with a chance of actually getting some good fights now. I can't remember who the welterweight division champ is right now, but yeah, he's certainly getting a lot more attention now from the media and also the fighters that are looking for good fights. The following week, UFC were in Brazil. The big thing coming out of this, the main event was Brunson beating Derek Brunson beating Lyoto Machida midway through the first via KO. But the thing that overshadowed it was Colby Covington's unanimous decision win over Damian Maia. Because afterwards, he cut a promo saying the Brazilians are monkeys, and, well, perhaps not monkeys, but he said, they're a bunch of idiots, and, they have no class. They don't know what it's like to wrestle. They're all crap, MMA fighters, which was basically led to him being basically taken out of the building immediately because they were that frightened that he was going to get murdered. The repercussions for this, he has to work a whole set of tapings for Impact Wrestling. Because, yes, he was randomly at those fucking shows. Who knows? Then the following week, because, UFC every week for days, the big one, 217. A pretty ridiculous card from top to bottom. So, on the Fight Pass prelims, we had a doctor stoppage, which was a referee stoppage. Because the ref stopped the fight after Curtis Blades delivered basically an illegal kick to a downed opponent, which was Alexei Olnik, and called the doctor to check on it. Now, the fight was stopped due to the doctor's advice. So, of course, because of it being an illegal kick, it was going to be a DQ. However, when they looked at the replay, they actually looked at it and noticed that this so-called illegal kick basically just flapped his ear. So they actually changed it from being a no contest because of the DQ to Curtis actually winning because of a doctor stoppage. He would have been in no fit state to compete afterwards. So, the right thing was done. So then we get to the actual proper prelims on Fox Sports 1. Because it got even crazier. If that's even possible. So it was Mark Godber. And I'm trying to actually get the actual details of the fight here because I can't, because it was a week or so back, I can't fully remember. I bet I didn't even see this bit because of watching something else. I actually only caught the main card of the fight. Let's get the details of it. There it is. So basically, Walt Harris landed a low blow on Godbeer right close to the end of the first round. And the referee said, okay, time out, as you do, because you've got a chance to recover from these. Immediately after this low blow, Walt Harris head kicked Godbeer. So the referee obviously DQ'd him, so Mark Godbeer wins. And Walt, I think, may have been fined or had repercussions for sort of being unsportsmanlike, which again makes sense because of what went down. And then the main card bit. So Paulo Costa beat Johnny Hendricks early on in the second round via punches and a TKO. Then a unanimous decision for Stephen Thompson over Jorge Masvidal. And then the crazy shit, the title matches. Title number 1, women's strawweight belt, gone. Joanna Jędrzejczyk losing to Rose Namajunas, or, thanks to Daniel Cormier, as I'll now forever call her, fuck Rose! The fact is, she downed Joanna within like a minute of the match. and then downed her again just before the 3-minute mark, which led to the TKO by, I think it was Big John doing this match. So, yeah, that got crazy. Then the bantamweight bout happened. Title gone. Cody Garbrandt losing to TJ Dillashaw. Dillashaw getting his title back. The crazy thing about this is TJ was knocked loopy and down to the mat, but was saved by the bell/air horn at the end of the first round. And then midway through the second, Dillashaw just caught Cody right and got the win. And then the main event, middleweight title, that's gone as well. GSP winning the title off Bisping via technical submission. GSP looked knackered and out of it for quite a lot of it. You know, he looked exhausted, like, you know, well, the fact that he hadn't fought in 4 years. He looked on that sort of level. And then he just managed to catch Bisping in a rear naked choke. And Bisping didn't tap, but was on the verge of passing out. And Big John was like, okay, done. So for the first time ever, 3 titles changed hands on a UFC show. Titles have changed hands, I think, but there was titles on, I think, there was the 214 a few months back, and then there was also 205 Live and, oh yeah, I've got in my notes, UFC 33, so that's like really early. But yeah, it's the first time that all 3 titles have changed hands on a show. So I guess on those, either no titles change hands or 1 or 2, whatever. There was no fight of the night. There were performances of the night, but there were that many that we had 5 awards. However, they did tier them for some reason. So, Ovin Sampru, who beat Corey Anderson on that undercard with a pretty sweet head kick early on in the 3rd and final round to Anderson. He got 25,000. And then also Ricardo Ramos in the opening fight, beating Ayman Zayabi with a spinning back elbow. Would I say Chris Hero style? Yes. That was a clean knockout midway through the final round as well. He got 25,000 as well. And then all 3 title holders by the end of the night, GSP, Dillashaw, and Thug Rose, all got 50,000 bonuses as well for, I guess, making it one of the most memorable main cards of a UFC show in years. But it's not over, because UFC likes having shows, apparently. So Norfolk, Virginia had the Fight Night show this past week. The main event saw Dustin Poirier beat Anthony Pettis via TKO midway through the 3rd. Not too bad. Also, we had Matt Brown beat Diego Sanchez on the undercard. And Andrei Arlovsky beat Junior Albini, amongst others. I won't go through them all. Poirier and Pettis' fight did get fight of the night, so they got the 50,000 bonus. And Matt Brown got a performance of the night bonus. And also Rafael Sunciao beating Matt Lopez on the catch weight because Lopez didn't make weight. They got the bonuses and all that. Oh wow, Sage Northcutt was on the prelim undercard. That's a relatively stacked undercard for something that they gave away on Fox Sports. Okay. But it's still not over because they're having a show this weekend. Because, of course. This time it's down under, though. Heading to Sydney, Australia. The main event is Fabricio Verdum taking on Marcin Tybur in the heavyweights, but there's also some welterweight bouts with Tim Means taking on Bilal Muhammad and Jake Matthews versus Bolan Velikovic. A women's flyweight fight, co-main eventing with Beck Rawlings facing Jessie Rose Clark. And then rounding out the main card, Elias Federer taking on Dan Kelly and Alexander Volkanovski versus Shane Young. Will Brooks, British fighter, is on the prelims on Fox Sports 1. At least that's the name that I recognize. And there's also a few fights on Fight Pass as well, exclusive. Yeah, quite a bit. But I guess the big thing from this Sydney show, it was supposed to be Mark Hunt's coming back, taking on Tybora, but Hunt had to pull out due to medical concerns. Apparently, he's had trouble sleeping and began to stutter and slur his words, which UFC said was interesting because they never knew about it. So they're basically obviously making him go further testing and evaluations before he can do anything else because, you know, it sounds dangerous. So that's all set to happen. As it stands, there's a show, obviously the show in Shanghai the following week. And then the only time they week off is basically the weekend right before Christmas. We've got shows, at least one show every week, right up until the end of year pay-per-view on December 30th. There is no rest for the wicked. I did it for The Rock.
All right. So we are out of MMA, and now we're moving into the finale of the show, which is basically to talk about everything else.
Yeah, talk about the indies, because we can officially say that, because there are statements that actually acknowledge that Impact is now indie. Oh, that's going to hurt some people.
Let's talk Ring of Honor right now.
Oh, we're actually going to the proper ones first. So, we're in the middle of the TV tapings from Philly. They recapped last week's first set of tapings from the stuff with Cody and Dalton. With Cody saying, I'll phone Paul and get you a spot in developmental. And of course, he hit him with a bangerang and said, thanks for that, but I think I'll be all right, sort of deal. Which is a nice little touch. So then we had Punishment Martinez versus Josh the Goods Woods to determine, I guess, a contender for the TV title. Unsurprisingly, Martinez won this. It was nice and all, but not great. Although it is worth noting, Punishment Martinez did some move called the Falcon Arrow. I don't know what I'm supposed to say afterwards.
Oh, he did the deal.
Yes. So then Mark Briscoe's doing a promo about I'm coming for the TV title, but then Jay comes in and reminded him how he felt about the match and wearing a towel around his neck. And Mark walked off. So then here comes Jay Lethal saying, you know, things haven't gone well. You know, trying to get the Ring of Honor title back, and you know, what's next for me? Clearly, I'm gonna become a 2-time champ, and you know, I'm one of a few guys that's beaten you, Cody. So be careful. And then here comes Marty Scurll and said, "Look, Jay, you're not the Jay that you were, and you're not the Jay that I want to face when I join this company. You know, you were ruthless. You cut corners." And Lethal said, "We're nothing alike. You know, you actually cheat because you have to. I did it because I wanted to." And Marty just went, "Look, just put your macho man gimmick back on, because without the cheating, you're not entertaining." Dig it! It's like, oh my God. And then it's like, look how many of my shirts are in the crowd. How many of theirs of yours, Lethal? How about you and me, final battle? And the fact that these guys were that good on the promo work means I'd be excited for final battle. It's going to be a busy month for bloody Marty. He's got Lethal. He's got, I guess, technically as well, the Defiant Wrestling or whatever it is against Hendry and what's his name? Kirby. And then literally a month to the day from that is Wrestle Kingdom. A busy time. So then they had a Bullet Club promo with Adam Page's match with Dalton Castle coming up next week, saying basically the Party Peacock ain't going to have a chance to make it to Final Battle. So then we had Kenny King versus Mark Briscoe. And they did the Code of Honor, and we're just about to lock up, and Jay threw in the towel. And the referee called for the bell immediately. And Mark's like, what? And Mark and Jay got into each other's face and then argued with the ref. Punish Martinez took this opportunity to beat the shit out of Kenny King. Followed by Shane Taylor, followed by Jonathan Gresham, followed by Silas Young, followed by Cheeseburger. Giant fight. Who knows? So then we had the Coleman's Pulpit segment. And Coleman basically complimented Shane Taylor on his weight loss before saying that how Shane's been more violent since the rebellion broke up. Don't remind us about that stable, Caprice. Seriously. And then asked about the Josh Woods attack after the payoff from QT Marshall. And, you know, do you think this hitman gimmick that you have is honorable? And Taylor's just like, I do what I've got to do, son. You know, I've got a family to take care of. I got kids. I want my daughter to have a better life than I have. And, yeah, spoke about his rough upbringing and saying, you know, he'll continue to do anything to provide for his daughter. So this led to the main event of the Best Friends. Of Trent and Chucky T versus Daniels and Kazarian of The Addiction. With Shelley and Sabin watching from commentary. And when they came back from commercial, Chucky T did the hot tag and hit a Falcon Arrow. More Dios. Sadly, Daniels kicked out, but whatever. But thanks to bloody War Machine showing up, thanks to all the distractions and everything, Chucky T hit the awful waffle on Daniels, and the Best Friends win. So pretty decent, good matches, but very good storyline stuff. You know, the Lethal Marty stuff was really nice. The Shane Taylor actually building his character was good. And the Briscoe stuff was done right, considering what is coming in the next week or so. Which I might as well spoil, because I haven't seen it yet.
I've got them too.
I mean, well, I've seen the first week's stuff, you know, the Cody stuff. From what I can tell, this is what's coming next week. So I'll go into sort of probably actual review once I've seen it when we get to next week. But Bully Ray basically comes out and does his retirement promo. So much so that Joe Koff shows up. You know, the boss of Sinclair. Apparently, Koff says, you know, you've only been here for 6 months, but you've already made a big impact. And of course, Bully goes, you better not mention the word impact too much. He's like, fair play. And so Jay comes out yelling at Bully, saying he's a pussy and spitting at him. And Koff tries to separate them. And cough gets in Briscoe's face. So Bobby Cruz, BJ Whitmer, and Prince Nana. Yes, Prince Nana still works there, people. He's there with Delirious in producer mode. I mean, Delirious isn't out, but that's basically Nana's basically backstage doing stuff and everything. And basically, Joe Cough's protected, so Jay beats the shit out of Bully. And then Tommy Dreamer comes out, and Velvet Sky comes out. And then Mark Briscoe shows up, and it's like, what are you doing, Jay? What are you doing? Kicks Tommy in the balls, hits him with a chair, throws Velvet off Bully, and they gave Bully Ray a 3D. And of course, fuck the Briscoes chant came out from the crowd. Got a feeling that might have to be censored on the TV. That might be coming next week. It'll be interesting to see how it's executed, and also if Colt Cabana's awesome on commentary. Because there was one bit, I don't know if it was at these tapings or not, there was a bit when a whole load of like quarters got thrown onto the mat or over somebody. Apparently Colt then went down to the ring, collected all the quarters in the cup, and walked off with it. Some people say that he actually threw it into the crowd so they got like free money and whatever. But if not, that is awesome Colt stuff. So the other stuff, the Soaring Eagle Cup that happened in Michigan. I guess the big thing of noting, Cody's niece-in-law pinned Cody. I don't know whether that technically means that she's Ring of Honor World Champion. I'm not sure. There is no clarification. So basically, the actual matches on the show, Dalton Castle beat Flip Gordon. Frankie Kazarian beat Jay White. Matt Taven beat Jay Lethal. And then Daniels and Cody's match went to a time limit draw, so nobody advanced. Because Cody did ask for 5 more minutes, and Daniel was like, nah. So after the admission, Silas said, I've got a qualifying match to try and get in the cup final. He beat Cheeseburger, so that's not a surprise. Then the Machine Guns beat the Dogs of Rhett Titus and Will Ferrara to retain the... and also the Bucks, sorry. Oh, sorry, no, Nick Jackson and Hangman Page. What happened to Matt? To retain the tag belts. And then in the Soaring Eagle Cup final, Dalton beat Silas Young Kazarian and Matt Taven. Literally because he eliminated all 3 of them, I guess, with bangerangs or whatever. And then we get to this weekend. I don't know how much of this is TV and how much of this is live event stuff. I think the TV stuff actually being taped this weekend, from what I remember.
Yeah, I've got results from this past weekend because it was in my neck of the woods.
Oh yeah, the Florida doubleheader. So Elite was that the Lakeland one or was that the other one?
That was Fort Lauderdale. Lakeland was the TV tapings.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Fort Lauderdale was that. So Women of Honor had Rain beat Brandy Rhodes. So at least she's wrestling there. That's good. Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser beat Coast to Coast. Jonathan Gresham victorious over Josh Woods and Simon Grimm in Grimm's Ring of Honor debut. Punishment Martinez beat Shane Taylor. So you're having a heel versus a heel. Awkward. Trent and Chucky T beat Bullet Club of Marty, Skrull, and Hangman, along with the Addiction. The Dogs beat Warburger. So yeah, Hanson and Cheeseburger. I don't know what happened to Raymond Rowe. Machine Guns retained the tag belts over Vinny Mossaglia and TK Orion of the Kingdom. Matt Taven beat Flip Gordon. Cody beat Rocky Romero to retain the world title. And then Dalton, Jay Lethal, and Kenny King beat the Elite. I think that might be their first loss.
Yeah.
Anywhere, thinking about it. Which is interesting. Then the Lakeland stuff. the TV tapings. Troy Hollywood beat Hunter Law in a dark match. Weird names, but fair play. So Marty Scurll beat Beer City Bruiser. Flip Gordon beat Adam Page. And then the Young Bucks attacked Flip afterwards. So again, more being the elite stuff actually spreading into television. Mandy Leon beat Stella Gray in the Women of Honor match. Then for the TV title, Kenny King retained over Caprice Coleman. And then afterwards, Punishment Martinez beat the shit out of Kenny King. And then Shane Taylor. And then Silas Young. Then the Briscoes come out and want Bully and Tommy. And Joe Koff then shows up and says, okay, it's the Briscoes versus ECW at Final Battle. Which, again, because it's 2300 Arena. Sorry, no, Hammerstein Ballroom. Makes sense. Taven beats Jay Lethal when Lethal refuses to use Marty's umbrella. So, again, more mind games with that. Then in the 10-man, Dalton, Hanson, Silas, Gresham, and Scurll beat Cody, Scorpio Sky, Martinez, Woods, and Sabin. Wow, that's a random... That's a grab bag, isn't it, match?
There has got to be a storyline to that.
That's a grab bag match. Then Sumi Sakai beat Rain in another Women of Honor match. Shane Taylor beat Eli by ref stoppage. Then the Cody Dalton contract signing happened. Cody swings at Dalton but misses, and Dalton hits the spine buster through the table. So yeah, doing some Hunter moves. This is looking more and more like Cody's retaining, because otherwise Cody versus Ibushi can't happen. And then, of course, Ibushi wins and everyone goes, holy shit, Kota Ibushi's coming to Ring of Honor. We can hope, I guess. Because that would be awesome. Then Will Ferreira and Rhett Titus beat Simon Grimm and Flip Gordon. And then the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega retained the 6-man tag belts on the Bullet Club rules, beating Rocky Romero and the Best Friends with the cease and desist after the one-wing Meltzer. So there now actually is a cease and desist finishing move as well.
There has been.
No, but it's like there's a new move all the time from them. So this coming weekend, I guess we're going heavy machinery style because Ring of Honor's going hard. That was their theme, isn't it? They haven't been on for weeks.
That would be the Revival, actually, that goes hard.
Oh, that's it. Revival. Again, can't remember because they haven't been on for months. So it's 3 nights in a row of Survival of the Fittest. Friday in San Antonio, Saturday in Dallas, Sunday in Oklahoma City. Apparently it's in Oklahoma. Who knew? So the San Antonio show has Cody and Kenny Omega versus The Addiction. The Young Bucks, by the looks of it, defending the... Oh, no, sorry. It's a standard tag match. The Young Bucks taking on Flip Gordon and Scorpio Sky. Search and Destroy, which is Gresham and the Machine Guns taking on the full 3 members of the Kingdom. Dalton is facing Marty Scurll in a non-title match. The Dogs take on Team CMLL of Esfinge and Ray Cometa. Worth noting, they aren't that important names because they're probably fighting that night. The big names on CMLL at Arena Mexico. And then, for some reason, only 3 round 1... Oh, I see. Because because it goes to 6 for the survival of the fittest. So the first 3 round 1 matches are Punishment Martinez versus Jay Lethal, Shane Taylor versus the Beer City Bruiser, and Silas Young versus Josh Woods, with the Women of Honor match being Deonna Purrazzo versus Britt Baker. That alone's pretty good. Then in Dallas on Saturday, Kenny King, if he's still champion, defends the belt against Frankie Kazarian. And the Motor City Machine Guns take on CMLL, team of Kometa and Esfinge. Dalton teams up with Jay Lethal to face the Young Bucks. Then we've got Matt Taven versus Cheeseburger, TK O'Ryan versus Flip Gordon, and Vinny Marsaglia versus Jonathan Gresham. Those 3 matches being Survivor of the Fittest qualifiers. And then Cody and Daniels are also set to be on the thing. I'm guessing they're facing each other. Probably. Considering they haven't been attached to a match, it seems. And then Sunday in Oklahoma City, not that many matches. There's Madison Rayne versus Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know whether that's possible because of what happened in bloody Canada. Who knows? Dalton faces Frankie Kazarian, Daniels versus Marty Scurll, and Kenny King, I guess if he's champ, defends against Chris Sabin. All the other names are also supposed to be on the show, apart from Kenny. I guess Kenny's relaxing in Canada, or on the phone to Chris Jericho, going, "What the shit are we gonna do to make him go?" Shit, son, we better get a call. Hello, Kenny. It's Paul. So that's all the Ring of Honor stuff. I guess the news from Ring of Honor we could talk about, that they seem to be proposing doing their own Ring of Honor network some point early on in 2018.
What it appears like.
Which has promise. Don't know what it's going to be, but it has promise. Which is, I guess, promising. Yeah, that's all I can come up with. So, where do we move on from there?
New Japan.
Oh, wow. This is crazy stuff. So, Power Struggle was pretty strong card. As I say, the 3 main events, if you will, being Ospreay and Scurll, Omega and Beretta, and Tanahashi and Ibushi were really good. You know, solid, super solid. But the stuff that did also come out of this that we didn't mention is that they announced that New Japan's going back to Long Beach.
Not surprised.
New Japan's Strong Style evolved on March the 25th, 2018. So the weekend before. Is it the weekend before or the weekend, 2 weekends before WrestleMania? WrestleMania 34.
WrestleMania is April 8th.
Right, just 2 weeks beforehand. Which is interesting because I'm surprised that they don't try and go head-to-head with them. It'd be interesting. If they went head-to-head with NXT, it'd be interesting to see how empty NXT would be. There's no disrespect to them, but it's like that might be the one people want to see instead. So they announced the blocks for the World Tag League, which is obviously starting this coming week. So A block has Tenkozy, Nagata and Nakanishi, Juice Robinson, Sami Callihan, Goto and Yoshihashi, Fale and Chase Owens, Page and Yujiro, Sanada and Evil, and Suzuki and Takashi Iizuka. One of these fucks is not like the other fucks. One of these fucks just needs to die. Can you guess which one? Azuka. I don't even need to do the rest of it. And then in the B block, we got Togi Makabe and Hanare. So the young boy sort of stepping up. Michael Elgin and Jeff Cobb. Dave Finlay and Katsuya Kitamura. Raymond Rowan Hansen, so War Machine's heading over. Ishii and Toriyano. Beretta. What the fuck was that noise? Fuck Mothercare. They just gave me an advert that nearly had a heart attack. It's a UK company, so you won't get it, Owen. The best friends are Beretta and Chucky T. The Gorillas are fuck. Oh, I've missed saying that. Tamatonga, Tangaloa, and the champs, the Killer Elite Squad of Archer and David Boy Smith Jr. However, before all that, in the upcoming hours, it's the Lionsgate project with the Young Lions Cup stuff. The second set of matches with Tomoyuki Oka versus Ren Narita, Katsuya Kitamura versus Shota Umino, and Hirai Kawato versus Tetsuhiro Yagi. Along with some other matches, and apparently featuring a fucking dinosaur. Tenzan and Nakanishi are facing Kotaro Yoshino and Dinosaur Takuma. There's an actual fucking dinosaur on this show. Holy shit. Anyway, in other news. Oh, I guess the other thing that happened is Leo Tonga's now officially part of the Bullet Club. Because he's part of some of the undercard stuff, by the looks of it, in terms of this World Tag League stuff. Teaming, of course, with the Gorillas of Fuck! Which means, are they now the Super Gorillas of Fuck? Maybe? So the opening match is happening this week. In terms of the World Tag League. Is Goto and Yoshihashi versus Suzuki and Azuka and Juice Robinson and Sami Callihan taking on Evil and Sonada. That's on Saturday at Hurricane Hall. Then on Sunday, we've got Beretta and Chucky T versus the Gorillas. And Elgin and Cobb versus Ishii and Yano from Block B. Then Monday, I must actually mention that's Gunma. Wow, I've never heard them go to Gunma before for shows. That's the night 2. That's the Block B stuff. They switched back to Block A to complete that block in Saitama. The Block A matches on that one are Nagata and Nakanishi versus Page and Yajiro, and Tenzan and Tenkoji versus Farley and Owens. And then Tuesday, some more Block B matches with Finlay and Kitamura versus the Killer Elite Squad and Makabe and Hanare versus War Machine. So then by the time we get to this time next week, we'll be able to go through and see how they're doing after one match each before we then get into we're just putting all the matches on one night, which means we'll probably have 3 matches done by the looks of it when we get to the following week after the Thanksgiving and the Black Friday and the Cyber Monday and all that. So I guess that's where we stand. I guess the thing that's worth mentioning, the finals day on December the 11th is now also featuring Cody and Marty Skull versus Kota Ibushi and Kushida, which alone is like, holy shit. Rocky Romero and Roppongi 3K will face Kenny Omega and the Bucks. And then we've got Okada and Ospreay versus Naito and Takahashi. Those matches alone are pretty damn good. And then in the World Tag League finals as well. And then there's also some Young Lions Cup matches on the Tokyo Dome shows, which is December 17th, 18th, and 21st of December. as we build up to obviously Wrestle Kingdom, where we've still got to establish, at least as it looks, Intercontinental title, because that hasn't officially been confirmed to be Jay White yet, sadly. Also, the never open weight with Suzuki, and the IWGP tag titles as well, among other matches, probably. So that is the Japan section done.
This moves it. Well, we go from Japan apparently to Canada.
See, now I'm confused because I'm trying to work out whether we're talking about good wrestling or Impact.
We're going to Impact, obviously, next.
Seriously, Ethan, why the fuck did you choose them? Other than the fact that they're in Canada. So it starts off with Eli and Adonis, and Eli is like, I'm still champ, so I'm taking the night off because there's no challenges. And Petey comes out and says, no, I'm not going to stop you from leaving because nobody wants you to stay. So they're facing off next week. And Petey tried to hit the Canadian Destroyer on Eli, but Chris made the save. Then Jimmy Jacobs came out and joined Matthews and Borash on commentary, with Matthews and Jacobs taking a selfie together. Because, of course. We had Matt Sydal versus Sanjay Dutt. You wouldn't have known that for the first few minutes because it was just all about the fact that Jimmy Jacobs is on commentary. But then Borash was ignoring him, trying to focus on the match, so Jacobs went and left. Whatever. Sydal won with a shooting star press anyway, and then EC3 showed up afterwards and said Sydal chokes every time there's a big match, and maybe in another lifetime he could be reborn a winner. Then it's time for GWN Flashback Moment of the Week. Because we can't show you new fucking wrestling. We're just going to show you old shit that we now have the rights to. So it's Hector Garza, Sanjay Dutt and Amazing Red versus Petey Williams, Eric Young, and Bobby Roode. I see this is complicated. Team International won that. By the way, that was 13 years ago. So, watch it illegally on the internet. Don't watch Impact. Then we had Eddie Edwards defending the GHC, the Pro Wrestling Noah title against El Hijo de Fantasma. Pretty good match, in all honesty. Edwards winning with a Boston Knee Party into the Die Hard Flosion. So then we had a 6-man with Sammy and OVE versus Atlas, Phil Atlas, Ray Steele, and Marcus Burke. Yeah, unsurprisingly, the job is lost. And then LAX had a giant fight with OVE. So then Mackenzie Mitchell was interviewing Global Forged winner Hakeem Zayn, who's immediately thinking, why the fuck did I try and enter this competition? And then Johnny Impact attacked Hakeem and said, I'm getting revenge in Alberta. So the segment where, oh, look, he's now part of the roster, let's fucking job him and let's push another angle instead. Anybody notice a problem here? And then, because again, we haven't got enough fucking material, let's go to Border City Wrestling for Ali beating Casey Spinelli. That fucking happened. Technically as well, your main event of the show was a Border City Wrestling match on an Impact show. Does anybody notice the issue that may be cropping up here? So now Mackenzie Mitchell is trying to interview Alberto, but Johnny beats the shit out of him instead. And then Braxton Sutter and Caleb Connolly randomly got involved and started fighting each other as well. So they went fighting in the streets of Ottawa because probably the building was so shit. You know, and Alberto saying the title's mine, and they went fighting into the arena. Security tried to get involved but couldn't help. Alberto climbed up a ladder onto basically the porta potty buildings. And Alberto got rid of the ladder, so Johnny had to go up a vending machine, and Impact. Johnny kicked off Alberto from the top of the thing, and then Johnny leapt onto him and onto security. And then after the break, because they had to do a commercial in this, they kept fighting down to the ring, throwing him into the steps. And Alberto saying, "This is my company." And teased having a match with Johnny, but went, "Maybe not." Just like he did randomly on the Bound for Glory, which UK fans never saw. So if they keep that in, no fucking context. And Johnny said, "Look, you know, you're not the pride of your father." And then Alberto came out and hit him with a cheap shot and a DDT and gave him the cross arm breaker while he was in the ropes and whatever. So in all, fucking terrible. Despite the fact that Sonjay and Seidel was a good match and Edwards and Helio de Fantasma was a good match. The squash match with OVE and whatever didn't matter. The fact that we're showing other promotions matches which have no connotation to this, and also matches from 13 years ago, what the actual fuck? Impact has truly lost its way. Truly.
Welcome, Jeremy, to chat.
It's starting to disturb me. It's as if they're trying to do something, as if to somehow punish the people that are staying loyal to that company. By going, "Oh, you want good shit?" Fuck off. There you go.
And we're going to end the show as we always do with what's going on with everything else. So news, everything going on in the wrestling world that does not pertain to anything we previously discussed.
Yeah, because the news really could be anything. So apparently the Jericho Omega thing was basically thanks to the middleman of Don Callis. Basically the idea was pitched. Omega liked it, pitched it to Gato, who went, fine. Apparently there was a secret meeting in New York back around SummerSlam time when New Japan officials and Jericho met, but they didn't finalize it until basically last month. And that's when they filmed the video. Oh, sorry, no, the video was filmed apparently about a fortnight ago in LA. So who knows? Weirdly, New Japan's only hoping for 30,000 paid attendance for the Tokyo Dome show. Which is interesting because the amount of foreign people that are wanting tickets at this show means that they can't cope with the demand.
Nope.
It's also worth noting that the Tokyo Dome show is going to be starting later than normal. It's going to be at 20 to 4 in the morning Eastern, not 20 to 3. So it's moving up an hour. So that's a bit different. The Young Bucks want out of the junior division and want to be in the heavyweight division. Basically saying if they win, they've been champ 7 times and there's nothing more to do, which makes sense, in all honesty. I guess the thing as well, Dave mentions here in the notes that from last week, that show that's in Long Beach is actually at the Walter Pyramid, which is a volleyball arena that sits 5,300 people. So they're going up from last time, but not as far up probably as they could have done to some extent. Bound for Glory drew 650 paid fans. And the TV tapings did around 350, which includes, you know, people that had a Bound for Glory ticket getting in for free, and then people being paid to be there and people actually going and whatever. Oh, wow. Shocker from Mexican Wrestling was arrested for allegedly assaulting a prostitute. Oh, and Mil Muertes is out of action after undergoing surgery on both knees a couple of weeks back. Thankfully, the Lucha Underground stuff, which they're saying is going to be taping in April. The thing is, though, as Dave rightly points out, when you have double knee surgery, you can probably come back. The problem is El Macias is 42. So at that age, can he? In all honesty. Matt Morgan got elected to the city commission in Longwood, Florida, into in what is a pretty sort of nasty campaign. Because basically his opponents were going at him saying he's pro-gambling and he supports casino gambling at the Kennel Club and whatever. The great thing is, he won with 58.5% of the vote, so he won relatively comfortably. Basically, his main campaign was that the police and the fire department personnel deserve raises. Probably why did well. David Richards is claiming that due to schoolwork, he isn't going to wrestle in 2018 because of his medical stuff. Which is worth noting because he first said all this stuff back in 2010. So he changes his bloody mind. So if he drops out, expect to see him wrestling at some point. Who knows? So Taryn Terrell did suffer a concussion, apparently, when Gail Kim slapped her. That time that you saw it, Owen.
Yeah, I could see that.
Gail hit her that hard, she was concussed. And apparently as well, the reason why Terrell actually left is because of the fact that she has, I guess because of the domestic shit that she did with Drew, she can't get into Canada. So it's sort of Cornette style in that essence. To me, it's because she's shit. And the fact that she came back to wrestling for no reason, who knows? Apparently the secondary market is about $300 for the Manhattan Center part of the Raw 25th anniversary stuff, which is pretty ridiculous. Emma, Darren Young, and Summer Rae all have 90-day no-compete. So basically, they're not allowed to wrestle until the 27th of January. Oh, sorry, after the 27th of January. Apparently, Emma was in talks with Stardom, but apparently she's asking for $2,000 a match, plus first-class tickets, plus full creative control of her matches. Be careful, Emma. Don't think because you're WWE means that you're something. You know, the $2,000 a match I don't have a problem with. First-class tickets, to some extent, I don't have a problem with it, but it's also not great. But the whole full creative control, I would say, isn't wise. In all honesty. Rhonda, Marina, and Jessamine have all been training at the Performance Center alongside Shayna. So that, to the person that asked about why if Roderick Strong is doing the training. No, it's all being done at the Performance Center. Apparently Hideo Itami is going to 205 Live sooner rather than later. There were some reports that Almas might be going up sometime as well, so we'll see. Also, Authors of Pain, same thing. Wolfgang got injured on a show in Scotland against Pete Dunne, so that's why he isn't. Oh, sorry, he got injured on the WWE show, so that's why he missed the shows and is out of action for Progress, and I believe he's also out of action for ICW this weekend, which we'll get to. The WWE ratings in the UK are doing shittier still. Only 57,000 people saw the live Raw on October the 23rd. And the live SmackDown only did 17,000. I think that means it's the B show, guys. So they did a tryout camp in the UK in Manchester before the Raw and SmackDown shows. Those invited were Andy Wilde, Omari from Fight Club Pro, Shinu Sandhu, who's a British freestyle heavyweight champ and a Commonwealth Games medalist, Big T Justice, Jackie Polo and Mark Coffey, Yestin Reese, Little Miss Roxy, Chris Ridgway, Primate. He's not going to be in Defiant for much longer. Sammy Jane, Eddie Dennis, Ashton Smith, James Ahmed, Kenny Williams, Charlie Winston, a 23-year-old kickboxer by the name of Courtney Stewart, the Ugandan warrior Nasariko, and a kickboxer by the name of Colin George, apparently as well, or something. Mauro Ranallo and Frank Shamrock are going to be working on a project called Shamrock Way in 2018 to openly talk about mental health and mental health awareness. So, you know, fair play. Also, interestingly, Finn Balor and Becky Lynch have opened a WWE Academy, a kids' playground with a WWE theme in London as part of Kidzania, which will be where kids can dress up to be like wrestlers and even cut promos. That's actually somewhat nice. I think that's all the stuff from there. Now, from this past week, let's scroll through. That we already know. Apparently, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson could have appeared in Ric Flair's 30 for 30, but never did. Nothing else on that. I guess the big thing as well, which is ICW related, Triple H randomly showed up to their show. Because, I guess, reasons, and because, you know, it's always considered that they're buried or whatever, or who knows. Apparently, Gold Dust is going to be brought to ringside for War Games.
What, like a trophy?
On Saturday. No, Dustin will be brought to ringside. So they're basically just having him there, sort of acknowledging Dusty coming up with the concept of the match 30 years ago. The thing is, of course, that means that they're actually considering this an actual War Games match, even though this War Games match is nothing like what War Games originally was. In all honesty. Apparently, in the Indian press, Sasha Banks wants to fight Kavita Devi. Yeah, I want to see that as well, because Sasha Banks will murder her. Christ. Don't say you want to face her until she's actually, you know, better. So, as it wasn't stands. Something I want to mention as well. Wrestle Circus were supposed to be on Twitch this weekend. They've cancelled the show. due to personal reasons. There's a lot of people out there saying, oh, it's because they're going head to head with NXT. Oh, it's because they're going head to head with House of Hardcore. They can't compete. They can't get the bookings. They did have a full card and everything, and I won't disclose it fully, but I am aware of certain issues, and personal reasons is the best way that I can describe it. I don't know whether Owen is fully aware of the situation, but I have seen stuff which certainly implies it is personal issues. Again, that is as far as I'm going. If you want any more, too bad. Respect their privacy. So WWE 365 will be debuting on the network after Survivor Series, and it's going to be the year in the life of Kevin Owens. So that could be awkward if he's gone. And by the looks of it, the last act of James Ellsworth was getting laid out by the entire women's division in Milan, Italy. I mean, technically, the last thing you saw was him getting laid out by Carmella in Manchester, but there you go. Which, on that note, we might as well mention, yeah, Ellsworth's finally gone. Which, when you think about it, is pretty ridiculous in the first place. Considering he got that over being a jobber to Braun Strowman, that they actually used him for, what, 18 months?
Yeah.
Give or take? And that was pretty ridiculous, thinking about it. So Jokoff, the Jokoff stuff on the network, they're describing it as an on-demand streaming service within the first quarter of 2018. If you remember, they partially live streamed the Global Wars tour last month or a couple of months back. And then in terms of pay-per-views, Koff noted that they might be continuing to having traditional pay-per-views, but considering how everything seems to be traverting towards streaming, it's probably sticking on that front. Also, D-Sport in India that has Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor says that they're going to be getting New Japan soon, apparently. And Melbourne City Wrestling had Kazuchika Okada wrestling on the card, and Bad Luck Fale introducing Gino Juicy Gambino as part of the Bullet Club Down Under. I think it's expanding too fast, Owen. Ever so subtly.
It's NWO all over again.
Yep. So the NWA title changed. Well, no, sorry, didn't change hands. Tim Storm retained over Nick Aldis. But it was live streamed on Facebook. Hence why it was like midway through the card. I think there was a few thousand that saw it live, and I think it's somewhere in the region of 50,000 that have watched it now overall. Not too bad a match, actually. And it's also interesting that they did that. It was free to attend as well, the Championship Wrestling from Hollywood tapings, and Billy Corgan was there. Oh, sorry, William Corgan was there. So I have to call it now. Having a quick look through. MLW's got Joey Ryan on the Never Say Never show. He'll be taking on Maxwell Jacob Friedman. Along with Matt Riddle versus Tom Lawler, and also John Hennigan and Shane Strickland versus Jimmy Havoc and Darby Allin. I really hope that they realize who Jimmy Havoc is, and the fact that it's a no DQ match. Somebody's going to die. Also, interestingly, Hermie Sadler visited Jeff Jarrett in rehab. Apparently, Jarrett's looking somewhat better.
That's good.
He's promising. WWE's Indian tours got cut down to one show. So the New Delhi show on the 8th has been cancelled, and now the 9th show is going to be a super show. Basically, it's a Raw house show, except Jinder. WWE put out a statement saying that they were serving the needs of the fans and to meet the requests and deliver the biggest main event in their history. A lot of people are basically saying it's because nobody was buying tickets to the one show. Apparently, Jeet Rama and Kishan Raftar, who are in the Performance Center, will be taking on the Miztourage on the undercard as well. Worth noting as well, they've just announced that Triple H faces Roman Reigns on the Abu Dhabi show a couple of days before, when they head to India and whatever. So, interesting positioning there, shall we say. Should I say? Whatever. Something. Vince McMahon granted a wish for a 19-year-old fan named Orlando as part of the Make-A-Wish thing. Nice little bit, actually, to be quite honest. WWE Network started uploading NXT episodes. The old style NXT. That was crap. Well, no, the first series was pretty good. The rest of it, not so much. Not so much. Conan has just been named head writer for Arrow Lucha. Basically, this is the new promotion that's being created by Aerolux. And there'll be a TV pilot apparently in Nashville some point next month. Conan was apparently key in gathering the talent. Well, it says here, he books Crash and he's working for Impact. He got the talent together for Lucha Underground. Was going to be head writer there until they chose Krista Joseph instead. And so that's why they axed him out and murdered him off in that. There has been rumors that the head of creative for this promotion was going to be Russo. And there is still reports that he might be some sort of assistant writer, but who knows? But yeah, this is Aerolux attempt to try and get into the wrestling market after the whole Impact shit fell through. Oh, I forgot. They did change about the San Antonio card, didn't they, for Ring of Honor?
A little bit.
It's not Sabin that's challenging. It's Joey Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Returning. Also, I was right in the Dallas match being Daniels and Rhodes, but it's going to be a Texas Death match. Which could be very interesting. Why couldn't you update that in your bloody profile then, Ring of Honor? Thanks. There was a WWN email alert sent out today about the state of WWN. They're only doing like 2 shows or this for the rest of the year. I think it's going to be crazy in December. There's an ACW show like in the first week of the month. Then the following week is the Evolve doubleheader. Then after the following week is the Shine show. They've said that I think they said they're proposing to do 6 shows before the WrestleCon, WrestleMania weekend stuff. And also, the big thing to note, they're in 4 different negotiations regarding what's happening with streaming. And obviously, whatever happens with that will decide how many shows and where the shows will be in terms of Evolve's future. Rev Pro's show in London on December 8th will be having Zack Sabre defend the undisputed British heavyweight title against Matt Riddle as well. And also in DDT, because there was nobody available at the press conference for Speedball to actually cut his promo, he literally had to put his promo into Google Translate and put it over. Oh, who didn't plan that out? Dumb morons. Apparently, WrestleMania 33 generated close to $200 million in economic impact for Orlando. Don't know what that's about. Also, they've announced that the NXT TakeOver pre-show will be having Charlie Caruso, Booker T, and Sam Roberts on it. Which means fucking Peter Rosencunt's going to be on Survivor Series, isn't he? Fuck. God almighty. Also, Ellsworth did tweet regarding his release. Thanks, WWE, for letting me live my dream. Thanks, fans, for all the support. I'll continue to prove hashtag any man with two hands has a fighting chance. Fair play to him. You know, I know it was like, why is he there? But the fact that what happened to him means that anything can happen in wrestling. Perhaps we shouldn't be too sort of harsh on him saying good fucking riddance, because to be honest, if we can get rid of him, why the fuck can't we get rid of some other people that can't wrestle? I'm looking at you, Dana Brooke. So, highlights from the indies from the past sort of few weeks. I guess the big thing is on the ICW house shows, Zach Gibson attacked Lionheart and is now going to be added into the freeway for Fear and Loathing coming up this week. So we'll get to a preview of that in a bit. Mustache Mountain got the tag titles off CCK in Rev Pro. At the Wrestle Circus stuff, it's worth noting that Jimmy Jacobs made his debut and is going to be in a feud with Sammy Galhan by the looks of it down the line. Team Jervis of Jervis, Thunderfrog, Dick Justice, Christy Janes, and Leva Bates as The Undertaker, because of course, beat Team Austin of Austin the Ref, Andy Dalton, Jojo Bravo, Gregory James, and Rockstar Spud. It is worth noting that Team Jervis got cornered by Alley Cat during this match, who had her very own Daryl. Because of course she did. Also on the show, Brian Cage beat Shane Strickland to get the Ringmaster title back. Thanks to a little bit of assistance from Condra and Scorpio Sky. He's now aligned with them, so that happened. PWG's All-Star Weekend. Some damn good matches. I think Ricochet and Walter got 5 stars from Meltzer. But in terms of the other stuff, Flash Morgan Webster beat Brian Cage. Mark Haskins beat Adam Brooks. Joey Janela beat Trevor Lee. Keith Lee beat Jonah Rock. Sammy Guevara beat Flamita and Ray Horace in a freeway. And the Chosen Bros won the PWG tag belts off the Lucha Brothers as well. So title change there. And then on night 2, Jonah Rock defeated Adam Brooks. The Young Bucks beat Flash Morgan Webster and Mark Haskins. Marty Scurll beat Joey Janela. Walter beat Zack Sabre Jr. Again, very well received that one. Trent Beretta beat Matt Sydal and Ray Horace in a freeway. And then Ricochet beat Chuck Taylor to win the PWG title. With Ricochet working as a heel. He did get the pin with a low blow and a belt shot, but then the referees wanted the match restarted. Normally, when that happens, then they carry on the match and the babyface wins in a few minutes. But it went on for like 10, 15 minutes or so. With the notable bit being Chuck Taylor taking off the top rope. A la sort of Zack Sabre Jr. getting rid of the bottom rope so Taylor couldn't get a rope break. Chuck did it back to Ricochet to make sure that Ricochet couldn't do any high flying stuff. Thing is, though, he still did shooting star presses and 450s off the middle ropes because he's Ricochet. Ricochet basically won with a rock bottom of sorts, maybe. And afterwards he said, you know, everyone's wrong. I'm going nowhere. And the fact that I'm PWG champ proves it. Unless he drops the belt at the next show. So, we'll see. The Preston City Wrestling shows over the Halloween weekend. The one thing worth noting is Bubblegum was supposed to be facing Yestin Reese for the title. But because of his injury, he wasn't. So Tyson T-Bone, his foe for many months, replaced him. And T-Bone actually won the title. So Yestin Reese's heavyweight title reign, which has gone on for quite a number of months, is finally over. T-Bone actually was on the pre-show match as well. So he wrestled twice. Busy man. Southside also had a couple of title changes as well. Lana Austin beat Saraya Knight, and the other challengers, Kaylee Ray and Vader Scott, in a four-way to become the Queen of Southside champ. Also, Ethan Page became Southside heavyweight title, beating BT Gunn, the champ, along with Mike Bird, Tucker, Sean Custom, HC Dyer, and Senzo Volto. I believe that title's being defended on the Alpha One show in a week or so. So interesting stuff there. WXW had a pretty successful show in the UK as well that weekend. No title changes or major stuff happening, but certainly well received. And Walter and David Starr had a pretty well received match. Fight Club Pro, their Day of the Dead show. Pete Dunne beat Amari, which I heard was pretty damn good. And Chris Brooks retained the FCP title over Penta. El Zero Miedo. Then in Progress, Tony Storm retained the women's title over Charlie Evans, and Travis Banks retained over Keith Lee at the La Dance Macabre show. Also, Walter retained the Atlas title against Wolfgang, among other stuff. And also, it's worth noting the team of Jack Sexsmith and David Starr, who, of course, called themselves Sexy Star, tried to put the boss, Jim Smallman, in an armbar a la Triple Mania because they're Sexy Star. I love that. I actually love that. Nice little touch. There was a title change in the ACW stuff, you know, the WWN stuff. The Precipice of Chance Champion and Omar Amir beat the State Line of Damian Angel and Eddie Torres to win the tag titles in an ODQ match. And also the vacant women's title went to Selena De La Renta, beating Camilla Kane in about 3 minutes. Well, that's a proud title change, maybe? Bit weird. Scrolling through. Shikara's doubleheader got a little crazy. Dasha Hatfield beat Moose. That's ridiculous. Who knows? Also, Murloc got his 4th point, beating Missile Assault Man. The following evening, though, in Chicago, opened up interesting because Sydney Bacabella showed up again, shoving Vlad, the ring announcer, during the intros, and called out Quack and said he was a bully in a cheap suit, which set up the return of Max Smashmaster, who assaulted Quack from behind and challenged him to a match, saying that he's a joke. And Max and Sydney left. only for Quack to hit a tope suicida to them through the corner onto them and screamed at them, "Name the time and the place, I'll be there." That's happening this weekend, actually, so we'll get to that. Also on that show, Juan Francisco de Coronado retained the title with a belt shot to the knee, and then passing out, Fire Ant passing out to the Coronado clutch. I find all this interesting that this is happening, because the fact of the matter is Murloc is there. Because we'll get to him, because the following week there was a Hour of Power show, of which Murloc was on it and destroyed Oberian with no makeup for some reason in about 100 seconds. So Murloc has 5 points. Keep in mind, when you have 3 points, you can challenge for the title. The twist is, if you have another multiple of 3 points, you can then decide on match stipulations and stuff. So, at the rate we're going, Juan Francisco is getting murdered soon in a bad, bad way. Also, on the Good Man Goes to War card from Chicago, in the encore, Los Ice Creams beat Des Peloton in a non-title match because Des Peloton didn't have the amount of points to challenge, which of course means Los Ice Creams win, but also Des Peloton lose all the points that they might have had. So that's great. We're killing off the competition. There is no tag division in Chicago anymore. What the hell, Quack? What the hell? So from Dragon Gate Japan, I guess the big thing to note is there are new Triangle Gate champs, Tribe Vanguard of Yamato, BB Hulk, and KZ beating the champs Shingo Takagi, Takaaki Yoshida, and El Lindemann, Anaruki Doi, Masato Yoshino, and Kotoka. However, a few days later from that Gate of Destiny show, last weekend at Kurikan Hall, Ricochet graduated. Technically, his graduation ceremony happened, and everybody praised him. And afterwards, Ricochet said he was 21 when he first came and was skinny and untrained, and everything he knows now about training, dieting, and professionalism he learned in Dragon Gate. He spent the last 2 years traveling the world, but no matter where he goes, Dragon Gate's his family, the wrestlers, the staff, the fans, HAGE. They're all family. This may be his last night in Dragon Gate, but it's not goodbye. It's see you later. Stealing lines from Sting there, everybody. So that went down. There's the ICW stuff that I mentioned. So AAW had a double header a couple of weekends back. The big stuff was this: the show saw the return of Josh Alexander to the company. Basically, it's the first time Josh has been in America because of visa issues in about over a year. So Phoenix won, retained, but then afterwards got attacked by Jimmy Jacobs. And he's challenging Phoenix for the show on November 25th. So that's going a little crazy. Also, the Best Season in the World got the tag titles back on that show, beating Zachary Wentz and Desmond Xavier. The following night, the Rise of a Dragon show. The match that everybody's talking about is wrestling of David Starr and Jeff Cobb beating the reunited Monster Mafia of Ethan Page and Josh Alexander. And then the main event saw Phoenix and Elgin beat Ultimo Dragon and Sami Callihan. And then afterwards, Jimmy Jacobs got into a brawl with both Elgin and Phoenix and took out both of them and held the belt aloft to again sort of build to what's to come. Because dramaticness, dun dun dun. So this past week stuff, big stuff in Rev Pro because Josh Bodom is no longer British Cruiserweight champ. Ryan Smile beat him. The match also had Josh Bodom and was challenging because he was as champion, and all the other challenger was Bushi because this was part of the Global War doubleheader that they had. Also on that show, Chaos of Gado and Toriyano beat Lord Gideon Gray and Chief Deputy Dunn. Matt Riddle beat El Desperado. Naito beat Marty Skull. And then afterwards, Naito beat the shit out of the ring announcer. Fair play. Yuji Nagata beat Zach Gibson. CCK of Brooks and Banks beat Yoshihashi and Rocky Romero. Ishii beat Keith Lee. And then Chaos of Ospreay and Goto beat Zack Sabre Jr. and Minoru Suzuki. The following night, following on from York Hall, they went to Walthamstow. On this one, we had the six-man team of Brooks, Banks, and Lycos of CK beating Gedo, Goto, and Yoshihashi. Yano beat Zach Gibson. Josh Bodom victorious over Rocky Romero. Tomohiro Ishii beat Dave Mastiff. So basically, that was the Chaos somewhat portion. Ryan Smile retained the Cruiserweight title over El Desperado. LIJ of Naito and Bushi beat Keith Lee and Nagata. Suzuki beat Matt Riddle. Believe non-title. And Zack Sabre Jr. beat Will Ospreay by submission, which led to Matt Riddle basically challenging Zack Sabre Jr. to a title match at Uprising for the British heavyweight title, which we talked about a few minutes back in terms of what happened this past weekend. So Pro Wrestling Eve, because British women's wrestling is also getting a light on it, decided to run 4 shows over 2 days, the same time as Shimo runs 4 shows over 2 days in America. The thing that's worth noting is this was actually pretty crazy for what it was. So some interesting stuff happened. Sami Zayn was supposed to be second match on the card, but she said that she'll wrestle when she chooses, not when she's told. So she was in the main event. Therefore, she actually lost because Laura Di Matteo won. Also, Livy Gray showed up on this show and was disappointed that she wasn't considered for a qualifying match. Then Rhea O'Reilly made a return and said that she would be taking on Millie McKenzie and Toni Storm in a 3-way. So I don't know whether that means Rhea's the booker or whether Rhea's in the match. I'm not sure. Then Laura Di Matteo's unbeaten streak was broken by Jamie Hayter on show 2 of the weekend. Also on that show, the match between Kaylee Ray and Charlie Morgan went to a double DQ because Nina Samuels attacked both of them. She's in the same block, by the way. And then on show 3, they started off with Block C. And because of the way that it went in terms of the matches, Sami Zayn, Jamie Hayter, and Laura Di Matteo all had 4 points, with Martina the Session Moth being on 0. So they therefore signed a 3-way playoff to open up the final show. Then they had Block A with Nicole Matthews beating Kaylee Ray. And then Charlie Morgan beating Nina Samuel. So Charlie Morgan goes through. And then Viper beat Yetta in Block B. And Maiko Satomura beat Amy Sakura, meaning that she was undefeated. Therefore, she goes into the final as well. So this final stuff, Nina Samuels, the champ. No. Yeah. All right. No. Nina Samuels beat Session Moth. Then, interestingly, afterwards, Martina said the fact that she had 4 losses in a row, there needs to be some changes. The session is over. Are we changing the gimmick here? I don't know. But then Viper won a tag match team with Amy Sakura beating Kaylee Ray and Nicole Matthews. And then they announced for the super duper 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 international show that they're doing at York Hall. Guess who Viper's facing, Owen?
Who's
Who
that?
do you think would be a good opponent for Viper internationally?
Aja Kong.
Here's the correct answer.
Yeah.
Viper and Aja Kong go at it in May. That'll be
nice.
fun. That'll be fun. Casey and Leah Owens unsuccessful, being beaten by Jetta and Erin Angel. And then in the freeway, the match started. Sami Zayn, who won her playoff winning spot at the start of the show, jumped Charlie Morgan and put her through a table, so Morgan had to be carried out. Morgan came back later on in the show, and the underdog came through and won. I'm guessing pinning Jane. I don't know, because I'd have thought Satomura shouldn't be pinned unless it's King of Trios and it's British Strong Style. So Charlie Morgan will be challenging for whoever the Eve champion is at York Hall in May. Considering the storyline, I wouldn't be surprised if Sami Zayn held on to it and Charlie gets the belt then, more than likely. So then we get to, sticking with the women's front, we'll get to Shimmer. So the first thing of note is mentioning Delilah Doom beating Vanessa Craven after miscommunication from Tessa Blanchard, and there's a 2-on-1 beatdown, and Leva Bates makes the save. Keep a note of that. Then in the main event, Shazza McKenzie retained the Heart of Shimmer title, beating cheerleader Melissa, and Mercedes Martinez beat Jessica Havoc to retain the Shimmer title. It's also worth noting that Mercedes Martinez and Nicole Savoy came out and said, you know, Shayna's gone off to greener pastures, so the new member is Archie Kong. I think that's an upgrade, Owen.
Yeah.
Ever so slightly. And then for Shimmer 97, the evening show of the two, the big thing to note is new tag champs. Craven and Blanchard dropped the belts to, I don't know whether we call it 4T, T4. Delilah Doom and Leva Bates, also known as the Totally Tubular Tag Team.
Yes. I saw the pictures.
Tessa hit Craven with a code breaker, and then Leva hit with a Pepsi plunge. So yeah, Tessa turned on Craven. And Craven wants revenge. Mercedes then beat Hikaru Shida, I'm guessing, to retain. Then Aja Kong helped attack Hikaru more until Nicole Savoy made the save. So Nicole Savoy, I guess, has been turned on as well. It's also worth noting that Shazza McKenzie beat Kellyanne to retain the Heart of Shimmer title as well. Keep forgetting that there's a third title on that brand now. There's loads of other matches. There's too many for sort of me to go through on here. Although it is worth noting, at least from what I can see here, it was the second show which saw Rosemary get injured, because I don't think she was used on. Oh no, she got injured on the second day, because I see her wrestling on Shimmer 98, which was Sunday afternoon, from what I remember. The totally tubular tag team retained over the hottest free agents of Deonna Purrazzo and Madison Rayne. Also, there was supposed to be a match between Tessa Blanchard and Vanessa Craven, but it never happened because Tessa walked out and got counted out. But then grabs a mic and says to Vanessa Craven, You're only special, Vanessa, because I did everything. And it's like, wow, I love this. And then, interestingly, Fire and Nice showed up to stop her from leaving, and Craven challenged Tessa to a lumberjack match so she can't run away, which was set for the final show of the tapings. Shazza McKenzie retained the Heart of Shimmer title after a no contest because Allison Kay got busted open practically hard way. And then Mercedes Martinez and Aja Kong beat Nicole Savoy and Hikaru Shida. After Aja Kong hit both of them with a metal box, and then Lexi 5 comes out and goes, Andy Long, you're the worst ref in history. By the way, Mercedes, you're defending the title against Savoy on the next show. So the next show actually opens with Allison Kay still bloodied up and everything, wanting the rematch with Shazza. Then Vader says, I want it instead. And Shazza went, Vader, you get your match. Allison doesn't, and she's carried. So clearly, it was like we're building up to that as sort of, because that's a somewhat heel thing, like not accepting a challenge. So I don't know what's going on there. Fire and Nice, by the way, is Chelsea Green and Britt Baker, because she's actually Chelsea Green in this one, not bloody Laurel Van Ness, because you know it's actually about wrestling, not shit. Loads of other stuff that I don't mention about. Or I don't have enough time to mention about. Delilah and Leva retained again, beating Paradise Lost of Rosemary and Dust. I believe that is the one where Rosemary got badly injured. And she had to be carried out and she couldn't put any weight on her leg. So best wishes to her. Not been a great year for her, especially considering the fucking sexy star situation. In the Lumberjack match, Craven beat Tessa Blanchard. And then Nicole Savoy beat Mercedes Martinez, become the new Shimmer champion, as we roll round to, I'm guessing Shimmer 100 might be the WrestleCon, you know, the WWN stuff, more than likely. We shall see. I have no results from Defy Wrestling. All I know is I think Filthy Tom beat his opponent and challenged Matt Riddle. Oh, no, sorry, that's the different one. I think he won in Defy. I'm not sure. I haven't heard anything about it. And in terms of Beyond this past weekend, Tournament for Tomorrow started up. We had Wheeler Yuta beat Damian Smith, Mike Werner beat Jay Freddy, and Maxwell Jacob Freeman beating Brandon Watts on that show as well. Oh, and Josh Briggs beating Ace Romero. I guess they were qualifying matches because Tournament for Tomorrow normally is just over the weekend of when it happens. So there is one other thing on that show that but I can't really talk about because it involves a title change on CZW. So I'll quickly mention that, but I'll go to the CZW card in a minute. So it was Gacy challenging Strickland for the title, and Gacy won. But then, because Gacy's got it in for sort of the CZW originals and whatever, Larry Legend basically came out and attacked him after Ricky Shane Page wanted like a contract challenge thing earlier on in the night, so he wasn't wasting any time. He cashed in on Gacy and won. And then on this Beyond show, he actually defended the title the following night, beating John Silver. I'll get to the more of the CCW stuff in a minute. So Progress Wrestling, Enter Smiling in Manchester. CCK successfully retained the tag titles over Ring Camp for Thatcher and Volta. Keith Lee beat Flash Morgan Webster. I don't know if that was for the World WWN title or not. Travis Banks retained the Progress World title against Mark Andrews. I know that much. And then afterwards, Eddie Dennis took out Travis Banks and destroyed Mandrews, his ex-friend. And Eddie Dennis posed the Progress belt, so and then left through the front door. So I'm guessing he's in shop for the next one. Also, interestingly, Mustache Mountain and the Grizzled Young Veteran six-man tag ended with Connors attacking Mustache Mountain. So, basically, there was a DQ. So, Strong Style won. Oh, right. Connors used a chair on Pete Dunne. And Dunne wanted a match with Joseph Connors down the line, and Jim said, you got it. So, whether that'll be for the UK title, who knows? We'll have to see. Oh, and Jack Sexsmith said, you know, when you need some help, you need to look to your family. You need to look to your brothers, or should you say bros? So, yeah, he teamed up with Matt Riddle. He still lost because it was Jimmy Havoc and Mark Haskins. It isn't worth doing because it's Jimmy fucking Havoc. That's what some of the posters actually say that he is. So, you know, it's fair play. There's a Championship Wrestling from Hollywood stuff. So, CCW. One of the Dojo Wars guys, Mitch Vallon, opened it up, challenging to anybody type of match, even a death match, because he's out for blood. So Mr. Claxton, the former Connor Claxton, came down and said, CCW and deathmatch wrestling fans will be the death of him. You should join me and not deathmatch wrestle anymore. And then Dan O'Hare basically practically murdered Mitch, putting him through not one but two doors. And as long as he's in the company, the ultra-violence will live on. Or something. JT Dunn beat X Romero thanks to some Chrissy Rivera assistance. Afterwards, Ace Romero, who's actually Rivera's person, which is weird. Romero attacked her because that's what happens. David Starr beat Tim Dont, so the losing streak that Starr's had is over. Ethan Page beat Space Monkey, retained the Southside Wrestling title. Meanwhile, afterwards, this show, as they headed back to Canada, Space Monkey's car got destroyed by a deer. No joke, that's actually what happened. So, buy some Space Monkey t-shirts, probably, guys. Jimmy Jacobs beat Sammy Callahan in the CCW Rules match. Maxwell Jacob Friedman beat Desmond Xavier. Basically, apparently, with his he had his legal team there saying that the injunction had passed, so Joey Janela has until December to hand over the Wired title, which makes me think Cage of Death or something related to Cage of Death, not the actual Cage of Death match, because we know what that is. We'll get to that. The Rep beat the Beaver Boys, with the Beaver Boys not seemingly being on the same page, so therefore no return match for the Beaver Boys for the titles. Then the CCW World Title stuff changed around and everything with the Ultimate Opportunity and all that stuff. Yeah, so basically Johnny Silver came out and Alex Reynolds, you know, showed up and all that, and it was all about the old guard and the sort of new guard and the old guard sort of fighting back. Even though I wouldn't say Ricky Shane Page is truly the old guard, but there you go. And afterwards, Shane Page said, I will be entering Cage of Death for the world title as champion, like I said I was, because I was a man of my word, and offered the rematches to both Gacy and Strickland. So there is a triple threat Cage of Death match set for December 9th, as it stands. And then the main event, the Squared Circle of Sacrifice, happened, with Jimmy Lloyd beating Brandon Kirk, and Jimmy Lloyd said the ultra-violence would live on as long as he's in CCW, and then challenged Matt Tremont to a match at Cage of Death 19. I don't know if that might be one of Matt's last hardcore matches. Who knows if he's going to be getting into booking. We'll see. So this weekend, as if that wasn't crazy enough, so ICW has its double header. They've got the Fight Club tapings, sort of, entitled France 98, because soccer. So as it stands, we've got Kaylee Ray and Katie Forbes taking on Viper and Casey Owens. Kenny Williams versus El Ligero, Jody Fleisch and the Kinky Party of Jack Jester and Charles Samuels versus the Filthy Generation of Stevie Boy and the Kings of Catch. The Carlos Valderrama Invitational Battle Royal, so tying into the France 98 soccer reference there. So far, the invited members are the Wee Man, Leighton Buzzard, Thatcher Wright, Dickie Divers, and DCT. Who knows who else? Interestingly, if Ravy Davey wins the match against Bram, he'll be added to the number one contenders ladder match at Fear and Loathing, which I'll get to. Aaron Echo faces Yestin Reese. The Purge of Stevie James and Crowbar faces the Fight Network of Looking Sharp and Krieger. Nice shout out to the network that they're no longer on. And there'll also be a King of Insanity contract signing for the following night between Jimmy Havoc, Mikey Whiplash, Chris Renfrew, and Stevie Boy. So yeah, they're having a four-way death match because of course they are. At Fear and Loathing. Also, the Kinky Party of Jack Jester and Say Samuels face Lewis Gervin and Aspen Faith, the Kings of Catch. Kenny Williams faces Rey Mysterio one-on-one. We've got a three-way between Lionheart, Rob Van Dam, and Zach Gibson. Is that because Rob Van Dam can't go as much as they hoped? I don't know. The number one contenders ladder match features Bram, Jody Fleisch, Kid Fight, Aaron Echo, DCT, and Joe Hendry, and possibly Ravy Davey if he wins that match against Bram. Kaylee Ray defends the women's title against Viper and Casey in a triple threat steel cage match. Bird and Boar defend the tag titles against Polo Promotions. And then the title for title match, the World Heavyweight Champ Joe Coffey against the Zero G Champ BT Gunn. One will walk out champion, one will not. It is worth noting that the commissioner for this year's show is Big Sexy Kevin Nash. So expect some sort of NWO style swerve because he's on the show. Probably. Smash Wrestling this weekend is doing Fight Network tapings. So on the Saturday, they have Matt Angel versus Sebastian Suave, the Well-Oiled Machines, Tabernacle Team, and Heavy Metal Chaos go out in a triple threat tag match. There's a four-way between Kaito Kiyomiya, Evil Uno, Brent Banks, and Kevin Blackwood. Stu Grayson takes on Kevin Bennett. I don't know whether that's for the FLQ title. Vanessa Craven versus Sandra Bale. Matt Seidel taking on Tarek, and Tyson Dukes defending the Smash Wrestling title against Frankie the Mobster. And then London Calling 2 the following night on Sunday has Kaito Kitamiya versus Shane Saber, the World Machines versus the Kevin Bennett Experience, Evil Uno versus Tarek, Stu Grayson taking on Scott O'Shea, Casey Spinelli one-on-one with Sandra Bale, and Matt Seidel, Brent Banks, and Sebastian Suave in a triple threat situation. Freelance this Friday has freelance things, Stranger Things, lol. The scramble match for this one has Ciclope, Reed Bentley, CJ Esparza, Miedo Extremo, John Wayne Murdoch, and Brett Kakia. However, six-way scrambles normally turn into eight-way scrambles, so we'll have to see. Brew Baker one-on-one with Eric Cannon, Bucky Collins taking on Dingo, Drastic Boy and Crazy Boy from Mexico. I think DTU is where they do some of their stuff. Face DJZ and Gringo Loco. Team Beta in six-man action versus the four-star heroes and Alex Olsen. And then the big one, Team Stevie of the champ Stevie Fierce, along with Kobe Durst, Darren Corbin, and Ethan Page. Based on Team Shug of Shug D, who probably will be challenging for Stevie Fierce's title soon, along with Space Monkey, Rob Matter, and GPA. CWF Mid-Atlantic has the Ultimate Survivor this Saturday at the Mid-Atlantic Sport Auditorium in Gibsonville, North Carolina, in its usual home. There's only 3 matches confirmed, but they're all pretty crazy. So Stokely Hathaway's Dream Team is going to be in an 8-on-8 Cybernetico against a team co-captained by Jesse Adler, the Worldwide TV champ, and the Rising Generation League champ, the Dirty Daddy. Jerry Carey captains a team of Coach Gemini's All-Stars against CL Party's team in a traditional 5-on-5 elimination match where the winning captain becomes the permanent host of CWF Worldwide, which is basically their YouTube and Facebook and Twitter stuff. And then a trio led by CW Anderson, the PWI heavyweight champ, take on a trio led by the CWF Mid-Atlantic heavyweight champ, Trevor Lee, in the 15th annual 2 out of 3 falls triathlon survivor match. So I don't know what that means in terms of 2 out of 3 falls. Whether you have to have 2 falls to be eliminated from the match. I don't know. I don't know how it works. So House of Hardcore is this Saturday. Live on Twitch if you don't want to watch, for free, if you don't want to watch NXT. There's been some changes to the card, which is a bit confusing because they haven't bothered to update the House of Hardcore website to say so. So as it stands on the show, but I don't know who they're wrestling, are Billy Gunn, MVP, Bull James, and Hot Lung Briley. There's also a mystery three-way dance featuring 3 superstars that haven't wrestled in Philadelphia for House of Hardcore before, so we'll have to see what that is. The matches we do know is that Matt Cross faces P.E. Williams. The Luchasaurus will be making his debut, so I don't know whether he's in that three-way dance, I don't know. Also, Austin Aries will be in action, and they're also giving him a live microphone. Well, that could be interesting, we'll see. But the big main event will be 8-man tag action. The squad, because we can't call them the Spirit Squad, team up with Nick Aldis and Joey Mercury to take on basically ECW, Little Guido, Super Crazy, Tommy Dreamer, and the return of the franchise, Shane Douglas. On Point Wrestling on Sunday, will be having their Masters of the Map 3 event. The tournament matches for that feature Unbreakable Andy versus Xavier Cross, Pele Primo versus Damian Smith, Alex Payne versus Kai Katana, and Drake Chambers, Brandon Kirk, and Carl the Beast in the triple threat. They always seem to do that. They have 9 people in what seems like an 8-person tournament. Whatever. Tony Deppen, also in non-tournament action, will be defending his OPW title against Drew Blood. Also, Nick fucking Gage versus Dominic Guarini. And in an AIW showcase, a triple threat with Trey Lamar, Dr. Daniel C. Rockingham, and Josh Bishop. Shikara's triple header over this weekend. So they're going to be in Kennebunk, Maine on Friday. Cyberhawk 2000 of Silverhawk and Razorhawk take on Sonny Defarge and Cornelius Crummels. Des Peloton face the Rumble Bees. Rumble Bees have the opportunity, if they win, to get the 3 points to challenge for the tag titles down the line. Mark Angelisetti versus Missile Saltman. Icarus versus Roy Gulak. Icarus on the verge of getting 3 points himself to challenge for the title. The Main State Posse, the new team that I don't recognize, of Aiden Agro, Alexander Lee, and the Danger Kid, faced the Assyrian Portal and Jeremy Leary, and Oleg the Usurper and Hermit Crab. Maybe in the main event, I don't know. Then on Saturday in Haverhill, Massachusetts, we've got Oleg versus Jeremy Leary, Icarus versus Missile Assault Man, Mark Angelisetti taking on Hallowicked, Young Lions Cups defended by Ophidian against Officer Warren Barksdale, Dasher Hatfield and the Rumble Bees take on Juan Francisco de Coronado, Sonny Defarge, and Cornelius Crummels. And then the big one, Mike Quackenbush versus Max Smashmaster. What will happen? We'll have to see. Then we've got on Sunday at Enfield, Connecticut in the afternoon. In fact, by the looks of it, the Saturday show is also in the afternoon with Quack and Smashmaster. So they aren't actually going head-to-head with the E. They're letting people get to see it if they want to, I guess, which is sensible to some extent. So the Furies of Fire Ant, Solo Darling, and Travis Huckabee, the Rumble Bees, face Jeremy Leary, Rory Gulak, and Sloan Caprice. Missile Assault Man faces Hallow Wicked. Des Peloton versus the Assyrian Portal, who have 2 points of their own, so they might have a chance to challenge for the tag belts. Cyberhawk 2000 of Nighthawk, Razorhawk, and Silverhawk face House 7 Seas of Cajun Crawdad, Murloc, and the Hermit Crab. So sort of trio, King of Trio style action there. Dasher Hatfield takes on Keith Lee to try and get his third point. So they've had him face Moose, and now he's taking on Keith. They're giving him the fancy deal, aren't they? By the looks of it. And then Juan Francisco de Coronado defends the title, the Grand Championship, against the Proletariat Boar of Moldova. And I think, other than the NXT stuff, which I guess we could quickly go through, that is all in terms of the indie stuff. So in terms of the NXT stuff, I guess 5 matches makes sense, doesn't it? Especially considering you've got a War Games match.
Yeah, especially if it's going to be a traditional War Games match, and it sounds like it's going to be, or they're going to attempt to do
with
one.
With the rules, it's going to be... There's people in shark cages, because of course there is. One person from each team starts the match.
Right.
And then after 5 minutes, one of the other teams gets let out. And then after another 5 minutes, the other team gets let out. And then finally, the final team comes out after the other 5 minutes. So there's the possibility that Adam Cole might be getting beaten the shit out of by all 6 people. And then Fish and O'Reilly have to make the save, let's say. You've got the 4-way for the vacant women's title. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. To be honest, Eddie, one of the 4 could win. It's that sort of like, depends what direction they want to go. Drew McIntyre and Cien Almas. I think because of the angle we saw tonight, McIntyre's winning.
Yep.
Also, it would be a bit complicated if bloody Adam Cole managed to win the title off McIntyre the night before in San Antonio. With Michaels refereeing and all that. We've also got Aleister Black versus Velveteen Dream, which I think is probably going to be Aleister Black. What I swear will happen is Aleister Black's going to win, and Velveteen Dream's going to keep saying, "Say my name," and Aleister Black's going to say, "Patrick," and they're going to go on that angle. Be beautiful. And then Ono versus Sullivan in the Hoss fight. And then in terms of Survivor Series, holy shit. Fuck Kid Rock. And yeah, 7 matches as it stands. Of which, of course, 2 of them are the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches. And then you've got the 6-man with Shield and New Day. And then the champion versus champion matches filling it up. I don't think there's anything else you can probably add to that, really. I mean, you think about it. Can't put any other filler matches on, can you?
Nope.
Then again, I don't know how you drag those out into 4 hours.
We'll see.
But I guess there is 7 matches, so clearly it's going to be 3 all when we get to Team Angle versus Team Shane. Probably. I'm calling that now. I think that's it. Managed to wrap it up in less than 3 hours for a change.
Indeed.
Considering all the shit that we had to cover from like 3 weeks ago, we've done pretty well. Maybe it's because I've just fallen out of love with Impact. I was so hyped up for Bound for Glory because it looked like a good show, and then I saw what they gave us. Ugh. So, I guess this is the start of the announcement of the Long Pop Weekend part 4, I guess.
Yeah.
The last one of the year.
It should be. Long Pop Weekend kicks off. Well, technically, it already kicked off Monday. So this weekend we have NXT Takeover War Games, and as soon as it finishes, we'll be going live. Sunday night is Survivor Series. As soon as it finishes, we'll be going live. Monday night is Raw. As soon as it finishes, say it with me, we'll be going live.
Fuck it, we're doing live.
Exactly.
And then Wednesday, not when NXT finishes, because it will probably get dragged out. We'll try and keep it on the 9 o'clock thing because it seems as if NXT doesn't like to go an hour.
That's good. I don't mind that.
Yeah, it gives us a few minutes to actually, get drinks and whatever. And stuff.
Or get home, depending on what's going on at the time.
True.
So that would be your show. Once again, I want to thank everyone for joining us tonight.
Do we have any statements in the chat?
Nothing in chat. As far as I could see, the only thing that really got said in chat, like Jeremy popped in for a minute, and Christian's comment about Jeremy. Oh, Hyro! Yes, we just ran through the card for War Games.
We briefly did it because it's like, well, I might as well mention it. Might as well.
All right.
Back
at it again on Saturday.
Yeah. Which I believe the plans are probably in the region of 2.5 hours for the show, from what I can tell.
That sounds right.
Actually, I better go to the WWE. Where do I go? There it is. Let's go to the network schedule to see what it's billed as. NXT is being given 2.5 hours as a slot. So we'll see. And then, 2 hours of the kickoff show, followed by the 4 hours of Survivor Series, followed by the WWE 365, which is probably Kevin. Which will be interesting because if it's supposed to be a year in the life of a star and it started at Survivor Series last year, maybe, that could be an awkward thing. Like, here's the shit that happened in the UK, don't. From what I can tell, though, it's probably a year from, like, possibly WrestleMania to WrestleMania, which obviously would encapsulate, the Universal title win and the Goldberg stuff and the Jericho stuff. So that might be the best thing to show. Probably. Right. Holy shit. I just noticed Saturday, like at about midday Eastern, they're showing some world-class championship wrestling on the actual, 24/7 feed with Bruiser Brody one-on-one with Terry Gordy. Wow, they stuck that in there. I want to watch that. So yeah, nothing scheduled as to what's on after Raw yet on Monday, though. Oh, Hyro saying I don't watch NXT till tomorrow because of Hulu. It'll be one you will be able to enjoy. I will say that. because you obviously have to skip back to when this gets archived in a little bit as to what you missed.
Right.
So that is your lot.
NXT was actually the third segment of the night.
Yeah. The other content that we've got rolling on the network, I guess it's a busy weekend for AJ as well, with the movie reviews and the verses.
Yep, that is correct.
Do we know what's in the schedule for this week?
Nope.
I'm guessing Justice League.
Justice League should be listed. Should be this weekend. I don't know what the verses is going to be. He kind of just throws it on me every once in a while. It just kind of pops up on my. It pops up on my Dropbox. I got other stuff. I mean, worst come to worst, if we don't have content, I've got more Hanson. I've got Boys to Men from Each of the Beat. I mean, I haven't done a sip and snack in a minute, but don't forget those are coming back soon. So we've got more podcasts to be doing in the near future. We're going to be doing Horror Nights, our final Halloween Horror Nights podcast coming up very soon. We're doing Hello Scream and Shallow Graves. We'll be talking about that. We're doing the holidays, the Central Florida theme parks. That's coming up soon. And next month, we're back at it with Oscar predictions, and I can officially make this announcement. As of December 7th, I will have finally seen The Disaster Artist.
I know that I got an email saying, do you want free tickets to screenings? But none of them are near me. So I'm waiting to see what happens. And I know we're getting it sort of around the same week or the week before you are anyway, for some reason. So hopefully I'll be able to. I'm having to do some things in terms of actually catching the movies that I'm wanting to see this week, because with all the Black Friday deals starting already, because Black Friday deals week is now Black Friday deals. Who gives a shit about the time period? It's we want you to buy shit. Do you guys predict the member for Women's Smackdown Live? Does it rhyme with rage? I don't know why you think Sage Northcutt will be in a women's match. By the way, yes, we sort of hinted that. Then again, they could do a giant swerve and it's bloody, what's her name?
Nikki.
No, Dakota Kai. Or somebody from NXT that moves up. That'd be an interesting swerve.
Ember Moon.
Ember possibly. Or Billy Kay.
Could be a possibility. We'll see.
If it isn't Paige, then it's really like they're just not letting her. I still don't know what happened to that Paige movie. If anything's happening with that. That seems to have existed for years and has like disappeared. So we'll see. We'll probably have more details on Saturday because all the rumors will be coming in. And me and Owen like that shit rumors.
Yep, I also like being done without going 4 hours. So,
well, it's only 3 hours.
It's about 7 minutes till 4 hours. So yes. So once again, thanks everyone for joining us.
We started at 8. We started at 9. We're coming up to 12. That's 3. Time.
Either way, we're done.
Yes. Yeah.
Alberto said on TMZ next year about the movie. We'll see. I'd say so. It's got Dwayne behind it. I'm sure it'll go somewhere.
Yeah. Why is Alberto interested in that shit anymore? Christ. Find me on Twitter at AshesMyNameUK.
Follow me on Twitter at Sir Owen Disney. Follow the network at Popcast Network. Check out our Facebook fan page at Popcast Network on Facebook. And make sure to check out Being the Elite, as well as buy all of your Bullet Club merchandise at Hot Topic and ProWrestlingTees.com. And as always, in a world where there are a billion wrestling podcasts, we're very pleased that what's more tonight you have chosen a podcast. But thank everyone for watching. Thanks everyone for listening. Remember to be excellent to each other and party on, Popcast dudes. And until tomorrow, boys and girls, that's all we got to say about that.
Fuck yeah.
Save Bill and Ted.